So, folks, I just want to say, for the umpteenth time, it was never about women's sports. And what do I mean by that, right? The attack on trans youth in America and trans people more broadly in America has been directed along the line of we need to protect the vulnerable, cisgender girls and women from the awful, violent, trans woman menace. You know, that's always what it's been about. They keep talking about it. They make a big deal about it. It's all about fairness. It's all about, you know, making sure that the competition is okay and fair, equitable. But the second they won on that trans youth sports case in front of the SCOTUS, it's been like 2 weeks or so. It's been like 2 weeks. It's an immensely short amount of time. Heritage Foundation is already pushing shit like this. Title IX's failed experiment, why accommodating sex differences beats engineered parity. So the problem now is not just, trans women in sports are unfair for cis women. Now the attack is squarely on what has allowed women's sports to begin existing. Title IX allowed women's sports to become a thing. And when they are talking about engineered parity, they're talking about how the feminist movement fought for equality. And they think that what they're saying here, what Scott Yenor, PhD, has to say here, is that, well, you don't understand. Women are just genetically different from men, and that genetic difference leads to inherently different behavior. Therefore, maybe we shouldn't have things like Title IX. Maybe we shouldn't have, parity in professions between men and women. Maybe we shouldn't have all of this because honestly, your desire, if you're a woman, your deep abiding desire to be a trad wife, that's genetic. That's essentially what he's arguing here. A dumb broads kind of guy. Yeah, he's the kind of guy who goes out there and says we can't have a woman president because women are too emotional. What this shows is that this was never going to stop with transphobia. It was going to continue into outright misogyny because it's a desire to control men and women's bodies. It's a desire to control human life as Republicans see fit. And it is, and has always been, about way more than just the sports. Because Title IX doesn't just facilitate the existence of women's sport in America. It is responsible for so many other calls for social equality. It has wide sweeping ramifications. And so all of this is just a huge attack on essentially the organizational structures that have emerged in society in the era, like the post third wave feminism, The Feminist Educative Project. For leading feminists inspired by thinkers like Beauvoir and others, expanding competitive sports for women was never merely about fairness or opportunity. Promoting assertive athletics formed a core element of a broader project to make female character itself, producing a new woman who would be more aggressive, assertive, dominant, and less deferential, less graceful, less oriented toward motherhood and traditional feminine graces. Like, Dog is talking about this because he thinks the natural state of women is one that is less aggressive, less assertive, less dominant, more deferential, more graceful, more oriented towards raising young, and feminine grace. It is the idea that the gendered idea of womanhood that they have they want to impose that on everybody. They want to force it upon you. You know, we've talked a lot about the Biden feminization camps. We haven't really talked that much about MAGA feminization camps. Because in MAGA world, you guys have to understand, they deeply, deeply, deeply desire forced feminization. It's just that they desire forced feminization when it comes to women. You know, they want all women to basically be like the cartoon character trophy wives they've dreamed into being while wanking themselves. You know, like that's effectively like a bunch of these Republicans grew up watching G.I. Joe, never mentally progressed, and just see women as literal action figures they bought and traded. And this is, I think, pretty apparent in their rhetoric. Like that's the kind of thing here that they're doing. Like this opens up. We're not going to read through this entire thing because honestly, I would never want to subject any of you to it. It's stupid from the word go, though. It opens up with talking about Amane Khalif yet again and misgendering Amane Khalif, who is a woman, an intersex woman. Like it just like that's where it starts and it's all downhill from there. This is Stepford Wives level of gibberish. Well, that's the thing, right? Because the idea of what the Stepford Wives was based on is unironically the idea that modern Republicans have right now about women. It's really I struggle to talk about this because it's almost they're like cartoon villains, you know? They're cartoon villains. Like this is some basic bitch Captain Planet nonsense. Like it's almost like you see a guy just like cackling to himself, twirling a mustache and like throwing a bunch of toxic waste into the town well. And like that's what these guys do just like for their job. It's been so accepted in Republican circles that they just come right out and say women aren't as good as men. It's weird. Like this just kind of goes to prove every single time that I've been coming out here saying like it's never been about trans sports for these people. It's never going to stop there. It was a convenient wedge issue developed by Christopher Rufo, you know, and adopted by the wider GOP as a talking point. I feel like I scream it into the void. And there is a certain contingent of folks who don't necessarily believe that. And it's really frustrating to immediately be proven correct. You know? If you think you're like safe because you're one of the good ones to these people, that safety is illusory. You know? It's really, really frustrating. Oh, is it not even confirmed that Amane Khalif is intersex? The reporting on that was shameful. Around that was shameful. Once again, if your cis kids lose in a competition to trans kids, your cis kids suck. Tell those kids to get good and get them some bronze medal Taco Bell. True. So, anyway, that's where we're at. You know, the organization behind Project 2025 is now hopping on board the, you know, Title IX was a mistake and the equal representation in different career fields between men and women is a stupid idea to pursue. It's really stupid. It's really fucking stupid. But that's where we're at. This is America in 2026. Anyway, if you got anything out of that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, and do consider dropping those subs and donos, folks, and get organized. It is only through sustained resistance and political engagement that we get out on the other end of this in one piece. All right? So, folks, get organized. Join your local Dems. Join your local DSA. Kick those corporate Dems out of office. And, folks, if you need help doing that, join our Discord. Reach out to GamerG for help with DSA. Reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems. And last but not least, check out ImogeneOlivia.com, gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes, tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It is comfortable, sexy, non-tucking lingerie. Check it out, ImogeneOlivia.com. Link down in the description. Let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather around. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, villainy, plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're